Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, how was your day? I hope everyone has a good day. I am Hardiyanti. In here I will presentations to fulfill pragmatic segment. As you know from the title, the topic is about presuppositions and entailment. And let me talk about the definitions first. What is definitions of presupposition and entailment? Well, the definition of presupposition and entailments are certain information which is assumed as already known for the listeners and will not be started, much more central to pragmatics in the past than now. Certain information which is assumed as already known for the listeners and will not be started. That means the listeners has understood what the context and what the context being discussed without having to say what the context is. And speaker assumes and speakers assume certain information are already known by their listeners. This is part of what is communicated but not said. Presuppositions and entailments, two aspects of what is communicated but not said. We all know that presuppositions and entailment are different, but what are they different? We will talk about that now. The differences are presuppositions. Each has three differences, so I will make this, I will write that. I will write that in here, side of me. The first presupposition. The first point is, the speaker assumes to be the case prior to making an utterance, and speakers, not sentences, have it. And the last, more speaker-dependent nation. Next, entailment. The first point is, something logically follows from what is asserted in utterance, and the second, sentences not speakers have it, and the last, naturally logic and less discussed. I will give you some example from each, from presuppositions and entailments. Example: Mary's brother bought 3 horses. Presuppositions: Mary exists. Mary has brother. Mary has only one brother. He has a lot of money. And entailments are: Mary's brother bought something. He bought 3 animals. He bought 2 horses. He bought 1 horses. And And from this example, we know that presupposition makes this on suggestion, like Mary exists. Mary has brother. Mary has only one brother, even though Mary didn't tell that he has one brother, but the listeners make their assumptions like that. So, and from another example is, he has a lot of money. In this sentence, he refers to Mary's brother. And why the listeners make assumptions like that even though Mary didn't give information that her brother have a lot of money? It's because the listeners know the price of the horse is expensive, so the listener make assumptions like that. And for the entailments refers more logical according to the text, like Mary's brother bought something. Of course, Mary's brother bought horse, and he bought 3 animals. Of course, horse are animals. So next, I will explain you more detail what is presuppositions and entailments. Basically, presuppositions are the information that a speaker assumes to be already known. Implicit meaning covered by the speaker through the use of particular words. Example, the Cold War has ended. Presupposes that the existence of the entities is refers to, in this case, the Cold War. Presupposition is to provide a presumption or prediction that is considered in accordance with the exciting use in the sentences and the sentence spoken. So that it can provide conclusion or initial assumption from the speaker before making speech that what will be conveyed is also understood by the speech partner. And there is 5 types of presupposition. The first is existential presupposition. The second is factive presupposition. The third is lexical presupposition. The fourth is structural presupposition. The fifth is non-factive presupposition. And the last is counterfactual presupposition. Notice, we consider potential presumption, which can only become actual presupposition in context with speakers. So the first is existential presupposition. Existential presupposition are entities by the speakers and assumed to be present. Example like Rohat car was new. Rohat bought some new car, like that. Like the speakers assumed to be present, so the speakers must be in the sentence, I think. And the second is factive presupposition. Factive presuppositions are identified by the presence of some verbs such as known, realized, be glad, be sorry, and etc. Like Lawrence realized Rana eat a sandwich. It and the third is lexical presupposition. In using one word, the speaker can act as if another meaning will be understood. For instance, Mary stopped running. He used to running. He used to run. You are late again. You were late before. Are you still such a bad driver? You were a bad driver before. Stop, again, still, are taken to presuppose another unstated concept. Some lexical triggers: change of state verbs. Rana stopped eating a sandwich at 2 p.m. Rana started eating a sandwich at 2 p.m. Verb judgment. Lawrence blamed Rana for eating the sandwich. Lawrence faults Rana for eating the sandwich. And the fourth are structural presupposition. Structural presupposition are it is the assumption associated with the use of certain structure. Like, when did she travel to the USA? She traveled. She traveled. Where did you buy the book? You bought the book. The listener perceives that the information presented is necessarily true or intended as true by the speaker. And the fifth are non-factive presupposition. Non-factive presuppositions are it is an assumption referred to something that is not true. For example, verbs like dream, imagine, pretend are used with presupposition that what follows is not true. Like, I dreamed I was rich. It means I'm not rich. Like that. And the last are counterfactual presupposition. Counterfactual presupposition are it is the assumption that what is presupposed is not only untrue but is the opposite of what is true or contrary to fact. It is conditional structures. If you were my daughter, I would not allow you to do this. It means you're not my daughter. And next, I will explain you what is entailment. So basically, entailment are, as I said before, entailment are basically logical, based on the text. Not a pragmatic concept, but a purely logical concept. If A, then B, meaning that if A is true, then B must also be true. Another way of phrasing this is if A is true, then B must necessarily be true. So what the information or what the listener's assumption, it must match each of them. Not like presupposition. Like presupposition is the speakers didn't give the information, but the listener's assumption. Another way how to explain, like in presupposition, the listeners didn't give the information, but in presupposition, the speakers give the information, but the listeners didn't give the information, but the listeners make their assumptions, even though they didn't know it's true or not. But in entailment, it's purely context based on the text. And there's also types of entailment. There is two types. First, background entailment, and the second is foreground entailment. There is 2 points on the background entailment. The first, logical concept of entailment. The second, a very large number of them exist for an utterance. And for foreground entailment, the speaker can communicate usually by means of stress, more important for interpreting intended meaning than any others. and also I will show you the semantic view. The semantic view accounts for the difference between entailment and presupposition in a truth conditional way. Presupposition: if P false, Q is still true. My wife went to Karachi. Presupposes I have a wife. And my wife didn't go to Karachi. Still presupposes I have a wife or my husband. And entailment: if P is false, then the entailment false must be false. And if the sentence I saw Arif this morning, it means I saw someone this morning, that is Arif. Or I didn't see Arif this morning, it means I saw someone this morning. Or I didn't saw someone this morning, sorry. So that is my explanation about presupposition and entailment. I hope I can explaining clearly. And if you have any question, you can comment down below or check my Instagram. I will show you my name of my account, my name account in here, and you go and check. Or actually there is nothing on my Instagram, so that's enough from me. I'm sorry if I had some mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.